Sometimes the world of crypto can be a bit frustrating. I'm sure you feel it, right? You find the perfect project, their vision is awesome, but then you realize, wait, a huge percentage of the tokens are held by the team and those that were able to pre-mine them. But then there are proof of work, fair launch coins, with a huge sense of community behind them. It almost feels like a breath of fresh air to see coins that have no insider advantages. But do these projects have what it takes to come out on top? In the next bull cycle, it goes beyond just fair. In this video, I want to talk about a few projects that I think have potential, but I'll be diving deeper than just the fact that they were all fair launched. We'll discuss how their fundamentals, transparency, and achievements will unlock their potential in the coming years. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, hit that shiny bell notification button. It really helps the channel more than you think, and I'd really appreciate it. All right? Let's start with one of the biggest gainers of the year, Kaspa. This price chart is one of the most impressive ones out there. You don't really see this kind of price action in the bear market, which makes it even more special. Kaspa has seen insane growth since its launch in 2022, with the price experiencing a constant climb, and then the big push that we all witnessed on November is what brought this coin to the top 30 cryptocurrencies by market cap. At one point, the all-time high was set in November at just over 15 cents. But after a pullback over the last few months, it looks like Kaspa is ready to set a new record as we speak. The recent price action lines up with the market moving up this past week and Bitcoin making a giant leap over 50K for the first time since the last bull cycle. But the big question is, will there be another pullback for Kaspa? Well, it's impossible to predict the next move, but some experts will say we're already in the bull run and that it's only up from here, while other analysts are expecting at least one more major price correction before the bull run truly begins. Either way, I'm still going to be DCing into Kaspa as I have been since last year. In case you're wondering why Kaspa is on this list or you haven't been in the loop with the project, here are some key points you should know. Kaspa is the fastest layer 1 network that is entirely open source, decentralized, and scalable. And of course, the Kaspa coin is a fair launched asset that can only be mined. The Kaspa testnet processes 10 blocks per second. And to put that into perspective, we can compare to Bitcoin, which confirms 1 new block every 10 minutes. That's pretty awesome for Kaspa and sets a new benchmark across the crypto space. But the team doesn't want to stop there. They want to eventually hit 100 blocks per second in the future. Recently, Sutton, who is one of the Kaspa developers, said that they're preparing for a main net release using Rust, and they would be transitioning from Go along with this change. The main net will have a speed of 1 block per second to start, but as the Tesla's performance is smooth sailing and full optimize at 10 blocks per second, they'll apply this to the mainnet. Just like all of the coins that I'll talk about today, Kaspa operates on a proof-of-work mechanism and relies on miners to validate and record transactions. But unlike the rest, what makes Kaspa unique is that it's the first blockchain, and a blockchain is just a type of digital ledger that allows parallel blocks to exist and provide near-instant transaction confirmation. Think of it like a complex web where every new addition can connect to multiple endpoints of the network, rather than just the end of the longest chain. Like we usually see with linear blockchains, this design allows for more frequent block creation, supports a higher volume of transactions, and leads to nearly immediate transaction confirmations. But if there's one thing you should take away from this discussion, is that Kaspa is still a baby. Despite all of their growth and success, so far, this project is still in the early stages. Yes, all the technical details and network specs are revolutionary, but a Layer 1 network alone doesn't provide much in terms of use cases and functionality, but their plan is to roll out a Layer 2 system with smart contracts at some point. So this will expand the network's capabilities. No date on this yet, but it's good to understand how early we are to this ecosystem. All right, on to the next fair launch project, Cubic. So I actually talked about this project back in November, before it even listed on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. The price was on its way up at the time and eventually went up 3x from that day. Since then, the price had a series of smaller pullbacks and climbs, but the overall movement was in the negative direction. And then last week, things turned around and Cubic started a major climb, which is still ongoing right now at the time of this recording. Again, this seems like a response to Bitcoin's movement and the overall market in general, but if this price action continues, we'll be seeing a new all-time high for this coin. But compared to Kaspa, Cubic is a much smaller project, And in case you haven't heard of it, here's a quick summary of what this project is all about. So just like Kaspa, Cubic is a Layer 1 network, and the Cubic coin is a fair-launched coin that can be mined. So normally, with proof-of-work networks, the miners are working to solve random complex puzzles and help from the next block in the blockchain. But that's all these miners would do. And in a way, that this energy used to achieve this is gone to waste. So Cubic introduces this concept of useful work, where miners are working to train AI models instead through a native AI software called ARth, which means that all of the computational power gets put towards solving something that can actually help in the real world, compared to solving random math equations with no meaning. The network is powered by a total of 676 validators running on high-end machines. These validators can communicate with oracles to access real-world data, execute smart contracts, and secure the network in exchange for rewards in the form of Cubic. And while validators run these core tasks to make sure the network operates smoothly, miners provide additional support for valid validators. Many miners can be pulled with a single validator, and this gives that validator a higher ranking in the system and in return for performing AI training tasks. Miners are directly rewarded by the validator, which acts as a pool operator. Now, what's neat is that all transactions and transfers on the Cubic network are feeless, and this is huge when it comes to adoption, and their smart contracts are very different from what we're used to. So smart contracts on the Cubic network need to go through a proposal vote to make sure only real and useful contracts get approved. And each smart contract is actually launched through an IPO, where users can purchase shares of the contract. Then all shareholders earn passive income through contract fees. Cubic is also burned in the process of executing smart contracts, which adds a deflationary element to this project. Not to mention, this project was actually created by Come From Beyond, who also founded NXT and co-founded the IOTA project. Now, these are just a few key points that stand out about the project, and there's a ton more to talk about. But one thing to keep in mind is that Cubic is only listed on a few small exchanges at the moment. And despite this, Cubic reached a market cap of over $300 million. So there's potentially a lot more growth. You can see after a Tier 1 exchange listing, the Cubic team did state that they're working on increasing compatibility of their coin with centralized exchanges, but there's no date set for this yet. And finally, the third altcoin for today, RXD, which belongs to the Radiant project. So the RXD coin launched in 2022 and went through a pretty dramatic climb last April, seeing more than a 10x in the middle of a bear market. And then the price quickly fell back down and has been fluctuating since then. Looking closely just at the last month alone, it's been falling slowly without showing any signs of recovery, despite all of the market action in Bitcoin. Making waves now, you might be wondering why I'm even talking about a price show that isn't up right now. Well, both Kaspa and Cubic have already shown signs of recovery in response to Bitcoin's recent move, and this is after a pullback that both of these coins experience. So is Radiant going to feel a delayed effect of the market rally, or will it continue to dip further down again? Impossible to predict these things in the market. But what's more important is to understand the project behind the coin. So Radiant is another layer, one proof of work. Blockchain, it's actually a fork of Bitcoin Cash, which itself is a fork of Bitcoin. Their goal is to become more efficient and functional than the Bitcoin network. And yes, you guessed it, that's similar to what Kaspa is made for as well. But what makes Radiant's slightly different is that it has support for smart contracts and programmability, which allows for a wider range of applications like token creation, NFTs, apps, games, and more. The RXD coin itself was fair launched and is used for transaction fees, which are kept low because of the large network block size. Reading can generate blocks up to 256 megabytes, significantly larger than Bitcoin's 1 megabyte limit. This allows Radiant to process a higher volume of transactions in single blocks, leading to low transaction costs and high network efficiency. Now, there's a ton more to cover for this project, and I can't cover everything in today's video, but if you want a full video on Radiant, let me know in the comments below. But in terms of some recent news, RXD will soon be supported by the Tangam wallet, which is great for current and future coin holders. I've personally been using Tangam to hold Kaspa coins as well, and honestly, it's one of the easiest and safest wallets that I own. And along with Radiant, they released a list of additional networks that will be supported, in addition to this already extensive list of compatible assets. And if you're interested in learning more about Tangum, you can check out my affiliate, link in the description below. And that's all, folks. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Remember, the crypto space comes with high risk, and none of this is financial advice. I highly recommend that you do own research before deciding to invest. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.